Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika Mehta, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Gaza ceasefire talks held in Paris as airstrike continues. Israel says it will attack the city if no truce agreement is reached soon. United Nations Security Council marks 2 years of Russia-Ukraine conflict. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says Europe needs to beef up its defences, calls for stronger Europe. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches initiatives for cooperative sector, says it is instrumental in shaping a resilient economy and propelling the development of rural areas. And day 2 in action of the ongoing India vs England fourth test match in Ranchi. Bashir ends 82-run stand between Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shubman Gill. England eyes a strong comeback against India. So those were the top headlines of the hour that we are tracing for all our viewers here on DD India. And now to begin with the top story of the day. Well, as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine completes 2 years, the diplomats gathered at the United Nations headquarters to express their support for Ukraine on Friday. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres addressed the Security Council and stated that international disputes shall be settled by peaceful means as per the United Nations Charter. He further added that all the states shall refrain from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any other state. Now, Guterres also met with foreign ministers from Ukraine, Poland, France, Spain, the United Kingdom, Republic of Korea and Germany. While Ukraine's foreign minister, Dmitry Kuleba, thanked global leaders for standing beside Ukraine. Ukraine is seeking to rally support for President Volodymyr Zelensky's 10-point peace plan that envisages the restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity with withdrawals of all Russian troops, protection of food and energy supplies, nuclear safety, and the release of all prisoners of war as well. A delegation of the United States senators met with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky in Lviv on Friday as the aid for Ukraine hangs in balance. The group in Lviv was led by Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. During the meeting, Schumer said that main reasons they've come up here is to tell the Ukrainian people that United States is with them. Now, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson has blocked passage of a bill that includes $60 billion in new funding for Ukraine so far.
The main reasons we've come here is to help them make up their minds. We want to tell them what we have seen. We want to show them. We have heard from so many that if you don't get the aid, you will lose the war. But if you get the aid, you will win the war. I take it that is accurate.
And we have come here to tell the Ukrainian people, we are with you. The United States is with you. We will not abandon you. We will fight and fight and fight to get this needed aid to you and to your brave soldier.
And meanwhile, Zelensky said that United States is helping them to save democracy, not only in Ukraine, but in the world as well.
Your coming here is a very strong message from the United States, from your people of America, of support, big support, and I know that Americans on the side of truth, and we share common values. And thank you very much that you are helping us to save democracy, not only in Ukraine, of course, fight for democracy and freedom in the world.
And now Megumi Lim joins us from Kiev. Good afternoon from India, Megumi. Now, Russia-Ukraine conflict enters its third year and international organizations have been continuously reiterating on settling this dispute by peaceful means. But so far, Megumi, where do we stand?
Well, there are a handful of European leaders that have arrived in Kiev to mark this second anniversary of the war between Russia and Ukraine. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has just arrived in Kiev this morning to an expression of solidarity and support for Ukraine. The last time she was in the capital was to make a final assessment whether or not Kiev was ready to open accession talks with the EU. And if we remember, she came away with the decision that Ukraine was ready. And in December of last year, the EU agreed to open accession talks with Ukraine. Now, this decision has been upheld so far, but had some cold water poured onto it this week when von der Leyen on Wednesday said that this framework for negotiations with Kiev will not be ready before June, when the EU elections are expected to take place. But indeed, she is in Kiev physically and personally. Whenever any leader is in Kiev in person, this does send a strong message of solidarity and a strong message to Russia, especially as Ukraine continues to come under regular air bombardment. And the EU has also pledged 50 billion euros in aid for Ukraine earlier this month. And the EU is also saying that it is continuing to work towards using assets that profits from confiscated Russian assets to help in Ukraine's reconstruction. And they have also announced its 13th round of new sanctions against Russia, against individuals and entities that are linked to Russia's war effort. Now, the only thing that Kiev is waiting for is that the EU has yet to strike a deal to top up Ukraine's defense funds. And the EU has already said that they will probably fall short on delivering the promised 1 million artillery shells, the badly and desperately needed artillery shells to Ukraine by early March this year.
And how is Russia expected to, respond to this momentum? Because many leaders are arriving there in Kiev in support, in solidarity support, rather, as you said, Megumi.
Yes, indeed. So far, surprisingly, there's not been any air raid sirens in the capital. At least there's not been any air raids or air attacks carried out. Surprisingly, this is something that is expected of Russian President Vladimir Putin whenever there is a significant event or day. In the past, there has been air raids and attacks that have been carried out across Ukraine. But Russia has also been emboldened by its recent successes on the battlefield with the capture of the embattled eastern Ukrainian city of Avdiivka. And they have been pushing forward as this war enters its third year. Russian forces have been pushing forward all along the 1,000-kilometer long front line and applying pressure. And analysts have said that this pressure is designed to make sure that Kiev doesn't have time to regroup and replenish its exhausted troops that have just retreated from Avdiivka. And it's also forcing Kiev to burn through its very precious artillery shells and ammunition that it's already facing a critical shortage of.
And not only this, there is this G7 virtual meeting as well, which is going on now. Can you please fill us with more information on that?
That's right. There's a meeting with G7 leaders expected to be held here at St. Sophia's in Kiev, in the capital. Some leaders will be attending in person and some will be attending via video link. The leader of Germany, Scholz, and France, Macron, will be attending via video link, whereas Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Belgium, Canadian Prime Minister will be attending in person. And this meeting is expected to be hosted by Meloni today. Now, they are expected to reiterate, of course, their support for Ukraine. They're expected to show continued support for Ukraine's peace formula. They're also going to be discussing further security cooperation. A handful of G7 countries have already signed bilateral security agreements with Ukraine, including France and Germany. And Italy is expected to sign an agreement with Ukraine soon. They're also expected to discuss new sanctions against Russia. And at the end of the meeting, they're expected to adopt a joint declaration that we're expecting they will emphasize that Putin has not achieved his goals in Ukraine. The statement will also call on Russia to fully and unconditionally withdraw its forces from Ukraine. And the statement, the declaration will also pledge that it will never, the G7 countries will never recognize any elections held by Russia now or in the future in any occupied Russian territories.
All right, thank you so much, Megumi, for joining us and bringing us the latest live from Kiev. Moving on in DD India Live, in a fresh move, an Israeli negotiating team has reached Paris for a potential ceasefire in Gaza. Now, it is the latest sign of tentative progress towards an agreement that could end the 5-month-old Israel-Hamas conflict. The Israeli delegation, that includes the heads of its internal and external intelligence services, will meet the director of the CIA, Qatar's Prime Minister, and Egypt's most senior intelligence official for talks over the weekend in a serious push to halt the ongoing conflict. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shanker today emphasized that the Quad, the strategic security forum comprising of India, Australia, United States and Japan, is propelled by a change in the global order that requires greater cooperation among like-minded countries. Addressing the inaugural Quad think tank forum on the sidelines of Raisina dialogue in New Delhi, Dr. S. Shanker said that Quad is again spheres of influence and reflects the growth of a multipolar world.
What does Quad stand for? I believe it has 5 messages. 1, it reflects the growth of a multipolar order. 2, it is post-alliance and post-Cold War thinking. 3, it is against spheres of influence. 4, it expresses the democratizing of the global space and a collaborative, not unilateral approach. And 5, it is a statement that in this day and age, others cannot have a veto on our choices.
An Indian delegation has visited the ancient city of Ayodhya in Thailand. The city is named after the Indian city of Ayodhya, which is the birthplace of Lord Ram. The delegation was led by Governor of East Indian state of Bihar, Rajendra Vishwanathan Arlekar. As part of the Thailand visit, the delegation took the holy relics of Lord Buddha for a 26-day exposition. Governor Arlekar said Ayodhya reflects the deep cultural and historical ties between Indian and Thai civilization. And we are moving for a short break here on DD India Live, but still to come. Crucial test for Nikki Haley as Trump projected clear leader in pre-primary polling at South Carolina primary elections. Biggest farming expos of the world opens in Paris. And US moon lander alive and well on lunar surface.
Is shooting the messenger the policy of Mamata Banerjee government? Is it going to work? Will it bring relief to the people?
The arrest of a journalist during a live show. Now, just imagine the police could have arrested him before or after the show. You want to send a message across the fraternity.
It will be very difficult for Mamata Banerjee to suppress all these voices. She is trying her best.
Please take pains to identify what the truth is. First, register the cases. You're not only not registering the cases, you're not even pursuing the cases. And that goes to show what your priorities are.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live with me, Deepika Mehto. Now, with an aim to boost the cooperative sector of the country, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday inaugurated multiple key initiatives for the cooperative sector. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the pilot project of world's largest grain storage plant in cooperative sector at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. Now, this is being done in 11 primary agricultural credit societies or PACS of 11 states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also laid the foundation stone for additional 500 packs across the country for construction of godowns and other agricultural-related infrastructure. Now, this is to integrate packs godowns with the food grain supply chain, fortifying food security and fostering economic development. Prime Minister also inaugurated project for computerization in 18,000 packs across the country. This aims at vitalizing the cooperative sector and also empowering small-scale farmers. While addressing the launch event at Bharat Mandapam, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the project as world's largest storage plant and cooperative sector. He stressed that the plan would empower the small and marginal farmers.
दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी भंडारण योजना के तहत अगले 5 वर्ष में 700 लाख मैट्रिक टन भंडारण की क्षमता तैयार की जाएगी। इस अभियान में 1.25 लाख करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा का खर्च आएगा। इस योजना के पूरा होने पर हमारे किसान अपने उत्पादों को अपनी जरूरत के मुताबिक भंडारण में रख करके स्टोर कर पाएंगे। उन्हें बैंकों से ऋण लेने में भी आसानी होगी और वो सही समय पर जब उनको ठीक लगे कि हाँ अब माल बेचने के लिए बाजार ठीक है, सही समय पर अपने उत्पाद को बाजार में ले जाकर बेच भी पाएंगे।
Prime Minister also hailed the computerization of primary agricultural credit societies or PACs. He said that this would give new expansion to agriculture infrastructure across the country.
गुजरात में हमने देखा है कि जब दूध का पैसा सीधा बहनों के खातों में जाना शुरू हुआ तो उसका एक सार्थक सामाजिक परिवर्तन आया। अब तो हमारी सहकारी समितियां, हमारे पैक्स कंप्यूटराइज हो चुके हैं। इसलिए अब यह सुनिश्चित होना चाहिए कि जो भी काम हो, जो भी पेमेंट्स हो, वो डिजिटली हो। विशेष रूप से कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स को डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी को आत्मसात करने के लिए तेजी से काम करना चाहिए।
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also addressed the Viksit Bharat Viksit Chhattisgarh program via video conferencing on Saturday. Lining up with the vision of making India a developed country by the year 2047, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the foundation stone of multiple development projects worth 34,427 crore rupees in Chhattisgarh state. The project caters to important sectors like roads, railways, coal, power and solar energy. The projects were launched under India's Viksit Bharat campaign. While addressing the program virtually, Prime Minister reiterated that his government would left no stone unturned to help the weaker sections of the society.
2014 में मोदी ने गारंटी दी थी कि सरकार ऐसी होगी कि पूरी दुनिया में हर भारतीय का माथा गर्व से ऊंचा होगा। ये गारंटी पूरी करने के लिए मैंने अपने आप को खपा दिया। 2014 में मोदी ने गारंटी दी थी कि सरकार गरीबों के लिए कोई कोर कसर बाकी नहीं रखेगी। गरीबों को लूटने वालों को गरीबों का पैसा लौटाना पड़ेगा। आज देखिए गरीबों का पैसा लूटने वालों पर सख्त कार्रवाई हो रही है। गरीबों का जो पैसा लूटने से बचा है वही पैसा गरीब कल्याण की योजनाओं में काम आ रहा है।
And now I'm joined by Siddharth, who's joining us live from the newsroom. Siddharth, when we talk about this recent initiative, how much of a boost is this, especially when we talk about the farmers, Siddharth?
Well, definitely, Deepika, it's a strong boost when it comes to the farmer. You know, today, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the Indian capital, New Delhi, at Bharat Mandapam, inaugurated and laid the foundation of key projects which will further strengthen the cooperative sector, which is responsible for the economy, also for developing the rural areas and food security. Talking about what all was done in the event, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the pilot project for world's largest grain storage, Deepika, which will further strengthen the food security in the country, and which is, in a direct manner responsible for growing economy of the country. A lot has been done for the farmers, Deepika. Let me just tell you, more than 20 schemes have been launched by the government for the benefit of the farmers, which is, further, like I was saying, dependent on strengthening the economy of the country. Also the expansion of packs, which is, was done today by the Indian Prime Minister. He laid the foundation stone for additional 500 packs across the country, and these will facilitate the construction of godowns and other agricultural infrastructure in the country. So all in all, it's a boost when it comes to the economy. It's a boost when it comes to developing the rural areas and also food security. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that the cooperative sector is instrumental when it comes to strengthen the economy of the country, when it comes to the development of rural areas and also food securities. All these things contribute a lot, when it comes to the progress of the country. Also, Deepika, digital transformation of packs, aiming to align with the government's vision of Sahakar Se Samriddhi. PM Modi also inaugurated a project for computerization of 18,000 packs nationwide, which is a big thing. This initiative is ultimately, benefiting millions of small and marginal farmers. So all in all, it's a very big thing when it comes to the development of farmers, which is directly impacting the economy in a good manner. Also, at the same time, the rural areas are also getting developed along with food security. So all in all, it's a very good thing for the farmers and also for the development of the country.
All right,
Deepika.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining us and bringing us those latest pointers on the recent development. Moving on, the South Carolina primary election now is a crucial test for former U.S. Ambassador to the United States, Nikki Haley, as the last possible alternative to Donald Trump to be the Republicans' pick for president. The latest poll shows the former president is well ahead to get the party nomination after successful runs in both Iowa and New Hampshire. But that is not stopping Haley from trying, at least. Caroline Malone reports from South Carolina.
From Charleston to Greenville, Myrtle Beach to Georgetown, Nikki Haley has been going all out to campaign, but may find her path to the presidency blocked by Donald Trump's supporters.
Now we've got 14, 15 million illegals just crossing the border, walking in. They're calling it migrant crime now. Sadly, I guess they don't have a choice, but Trump actually said that what is coming into this country is not the cream of the crop.
I love him. I think that I love his blunt reactions. I like the fact that he wasn't afraid to stand in front of the media and answer questions, and he will do what it takes to get the job done.
Polls are predicting a 30-point lead in the result of Saturday's vote in South Carolina for the former U.S. president.
Getting up on the stage. That seems to be rather difficult for some of our leaders these days. Yeah, take you a little while.
His son Don Jr. agrees. He made fun of Haley and President Joe Biden at campaign events and said Trump will fix the economy and crack down on border security. Whether they agree or not, people are certainly engaged. More than 200,000 voters have already cast ballots. While early voting numbers show that more people came out to vote early in the Republican primary in South Carolina than they did ahead of the Democratic primary in early February. And with many more people choosing to take up that option, it's likely to have a big impact on Saturday's poll. Around 3 million people are eligible to vote and others can register on the day. It's an open election, meaning Democrats who didn't vote for Biden can vote for Haley.
So she's got to convince those people saying that, hey, I may be a Republican, but maybe you are a conservative Democrat. Maybe you don't like Joe Biden's presidency. Or she can argue with them that, hey, you may not love me, but remember Donald Trump? You really don't like him.
Haley says her priority is to stop war and that people can't let the chaos of Trump back into the White House.
I love her.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was kind of on the fence, and I'm anybody but Trump.
Why anybody but Trump?
Because I cannot stand Trump. Ever since the insurrection, especially.
Haley may be behind in the polls, but is still campaigning hard to get every extra voter she can behind her on Saturday. Caroline Malone, Georgetown, South Carolina, for DD India.
And now update from sports. Cricket. First, England were all out for 353 in their first innings on the first test against India in Ranchi on Saturday. In reply, India were 131 for the loss of 4 wickets at tea interval. The hosts lost Rohit Sharma early. After that, Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shubman Gill drove Indian innings forward. Gill was captured LBW by Shoaib Bashir for 38. Gill and Jaiswal added 82 runs for the second wicket, and in the process, Jaiswal completed his half-century as well. Earlier, Joe Root scored 122 runs, while Ollie Robinson scored 58. Apart from that, Ben Foakes and Zoc Crayley have scored 47 and 42. Ravindra Jadeja 4 for 67 and Akashdeep 3 for 83 impressed with the ball for Team India. Now, first ever Olympic breakers from Australia were announced on Saturday as the sport gears up for its debut in Paris 2024 Games. 36-year-old university lecturer Rachel Gunn and 16-year-old student Jeff Tin will represent the country as one of the only 16 females and 16 male competitors at the Games. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika Mehta, and from all of us here in Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.